When was the last time you met someone new? Have you ever had a fight with your best friend? Do you struggle with, people? It's okay. It's not all is lost, because social penetration theory is for you. I know you're wondering, how can social penetration theory, how can this communication mumbo jumbo help me? I'll tell you why. Because social penetration theory is the game plan for people. It's basically the game plan on relationships and just being able to interact with them. Social penetration theory is like a roadmap for communication among people. It's basically your map quest, but for how to make a conversation and how to get it started. So you're wondering, well, how does this work? How is this so? I'll tell you why. Because social penetration theory is split up into 4 different segments. First you have orientation, you have exploratory, effective, and stable. Because orientation is getting to know you stage. It's not a place where you share intimate thoughts, but orientation is where you get to become comfortable with each other. Exploratory exchange is finding common ground. It's basically trying to find ways where each of you can agree and build that friendship. Effective exchange is able to share insecurities. This is where each individual can start to actually help one another. And stable exchange is where anything can be shared without fear. This is where pretty much any emotion, any thought, any insecurity can be shared with no repercussions. It's basically where both individuals understand each other. So what's at the core here of social penetration theory? I mean, there are a lot of things that have to be shared in order for social penetration theory to work. Mainly, weaknesses, insecurities, and concerns. All of those have to be shared. However, self-disclosure must be reciprocated. For every fear that's been disclosed, fear has to be disclosed from the other person as well. Bottom line, more self-disclosure equals advance in stage. I like to make everything into a sports analogy, and I figured that volleyball would be the best sport for this. Because in volleyball, orientation is like serving. You have to put the ball on the court. And if you do that, then you basically met a new person. That's where the friendship can start. Exploratory is like digging. You have to dig to find common ground. If you can do that, then you've got a shot. And then effective would be like setting. This is where you're trying to help each other out, but there's still some barriers up. And when you're setting the ball in volleyball, you're not putting the ball over the net. That net is a barrier. However, with spiking, which would be stable exchange, the net is being passed by. The net is no longer a barrier. So therefore in spiking, it will be like stable exchange, because you can hit the ball back and forth with no repercussions. Some examples would be religious leaders must self-disclose. As a religious leader, you have to be willing to share your biggest problems and your fears. Otherwise, people are probably not going to follow you. If you're not willing to disclose information about how you came to know God, then what do you think other people will? If you're doing a Bible study, for example, you have to be willing to share your most sensitive information. Otherwise, people are not going to open up. Families must self-disclose as well. I mean, if mom and dad are not going to self-disclose their weaknesses to their sons and daughters, chances are the sons and daughters are going to tighten up and no longer talk to them too much. So in a nutshell, that's social penetration theory. Social penetration theory is not a guaranteed success when it comes to meeting up with people, but it's a start. And to be honest, that's all that matters.